Every developer working at Bethesda is complete shit. They're clueless, talentless, and self-righteous. Every single time these people get to do something, talk about something, or express their opinions, even in the most minor ways, you start to understand better why everything Bethesda does is absolute garbage. And now we got even a better one. Do you know how no one is expecting the Elder Scrolls 6 to be good? Well, yeah, we just got even more confirmation the Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 are gonna be absolute heaps of shit. And that is because Bethesda developers, high-level Bethesda developers, once again decided to share their grand opinions on how the world functions. And spoiler alert, needless to say, these people are out of their minds. They're clueless, they don't understand anything. They unironically think that the current slop state of gaming, where everything is an insult to our intelligence because the developers for some reason think that we are the same as them, aka morons, that everything needs to be made as easy as possible and no system can be harder than pressing a single button. And unironically, the Bethesda developers are now saying that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be super easy because, get this, gamers would be incapable of playing a system that's equal to Morrowind because it's too complicated. Man, we really do not hate these people enough. They deserve so much more than they are currently getting. I'll be honest. If you're a Bethesda developer, I hope you lose your job, your house, your everything, because you have ruined society for far too long. You do not deserve a happy ending or any ending, in fact. You deserve to be forgotten and out on the streets.
Last few weeks, months, but a lot of people that have worked at BGS have done interviews, and they're talking about the Fallout show, they're talking about Elder Scrolls, they're talking about all that stuff. But there was one clipped from Culture Crave from the interview that they did, that Bruce Nesmith did with Pressbox PR. And there's a lot of stuff in this interview that is genuinely really, really interesting. Like I said, Culture Crave clipped the little quote, but...
Interesting, he says.
The one that I want to touch on right here is very, very interesting, okay? Basically, in the early lore and early games, there are some very out there ideas, like nods towards some space exploration and the Battlespire and other features. Could these elements be brought into the modern series and reinvented somehow? Discussions about that, how they could explore the lore and things like that, which are genuinely interesting.
They already explored the lore in the most modern way possible, and officially, by the way, again, some people don't know this, but officially, the gods of the Elder Scrolls universe are all trans and gay. Yes. Yes. Elder Scrolls Online made that canon. Have fun with that.
Tidbits and things that they could do. There's discussions over where they could go in the sixth game and what they could do. Like, what can they do to subvert expectations? This one's really interesting. So like this, do you agree that the expectations are now so high that creating Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5 has become an impossible job? Bruce Nesmith, this is one of the original designers behind Skyrim, okay? He knows what he's doing. I'm very fond...
He does not. We have heard different interviews with this guy, and Bruce Nesbitt is an absolute dork. He has no clue what he's doing. If this guy gets to make a game, it's instantaneously a disaster. That guy actually believes the current interpretation of Bethesda that, oh, players don't care about good experiences, so why even bother making a game? Type of ideology.
Of a phrase called the game of expectations. I've been trotting the game of expectations out for well over a decade. Bethesda's in the bad position of having expectations being so high they cannot be met. I think they can.
That's not even true, okay? Our expectations as gamers is probably honestly the lowest it has ever been at this point, because we get excited about something that just looks like a game that was designed to be fun, not a stupid political statement trying to tell us that we are the wrong type of people and we should be better some magically how, okay? Bruce Nesmith was Well, I forgot what it was, but there was something super stupid that he said. Well, obviously he says a lot of super stupid stuff, but there was something I forgot about it when I finished that sentence. But there was something super stupid about this that everyone just scratches their heads about that this guy believes.
Cannot be met by Bethesda. I think that's the.
Oh yeah. This guy. I forgot. Did they actually do that video? But there is an article out there where I think it's Bruce Desmond who's giving an interview and saying, "Oh, Starfield would have been praised as the greatest game ever, the second coming of Jesus, if it wasn't developed by Bethesda." The guy's completely lost it. I mean, every single person at Bethesda has probably completely lost it, if I'm being honest.
Problem is that they can't deliver on it. Other studios, I think, could, but they can't. Managing expectations is the number one thing a good marketing department has to do. Let's take a look at Starfield. Let's assume that a new studio had put out Starfield.
Oh, yep. It's that guy. He, again, unironically thinks that Starfield would have been a smash hit success if someone else made it.
It would be talked about like the second coming. I'm not so
pathetic.
I'm not so sure about that, but okay. Let's assume, let's see. But because it was released by Bethesda, the expectations were so much higher that it was seen differently. Starfield is a good game. It's a very good game. It's just not the game that people expected it to.
No, I'm not sure I have ever met a person who says that Starfield is a good game or a very good game. I mean, we're not getting. I don't think we're at this point where Starfield is even considered a game. But so far from a good game and a very good game even further.
I think it's not the game people expected it to be coming from Bethesda. And part of that expectation came from how it was marketed and what was said and what was not said. It's been fascinating seeing how the marketing has gone for something like Crimson Desert, because they have all of these expectations being built, people being like, can they actually live up to that? Is that actually real? This seems too good to be true. And they've been trying.
Crimson Desert is real because we have actually seen real gameplay, real everything, so it doesn't seem fake at all. Crimson Desert looks like it's gonna happen because we can actually... We see that it's real in-game footage, not fake.
Really hard to toe the line of what is there, what is not there, and just let the game speak for itself by showing a lot of it so that people see, and that's how their opinion is informed. But with Starfield, if you recall, there were a lot of questions leading up to its launch where people did not have firm answers. We did not know concretely whether you could fly on a planet's surface or not. It was only once the game went out to reviewers and people tried it that it became clear, no, you're going into a simulated fishbowl.
Well, there was a reason why they put out Starfield and they removed the embargo for reviews like a day, an hour, or how little before the game actually came out, because Bethesda was absolutely terrified of people knowing that this space game doesn't even have space in it.
That's what's happening. You're going into a fishbowl, and then once you're in the fishbowl, you can fast travel to a different fishbowl. But that's what's happening. And then it's the same locations recycled over and over again as you travel and explore them, right? So I think that was, going back to the marketing discussion, the marketing department didn't make that very clear, but I think it's because they benefited from it not being clear. I think it would have been seen as a disappointment if people knew what it was actually like. Now, going back to the Elder Scrolls 6, they have the same problem, and they're going to have the advantage of having done Elder Scrolls 5, 4, 3, and 2, to where I think they've got a good shot at meeting expectations. After Oblivion, there were very sky-high expectations, and Skyrim met them and exceeded them.
I don't understand this logic. Oh, Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a success because they have the advantage of experience on 5, 4, 3, and 2. None of the people who made 2 are still at the company. None of the people who made 3 are there. 4 and 5, those people aren't still there even. So what exactly is the magical advantage of making a game that you have no one who built the previous games in?
After Fallout 3, there were very high expectations for Fallout 4, and the studio met them. So the potential is definitely there. But
did the studio meet the expectations for Fallout 4? I don't know. I kind of remember still a lot of people being extremely negative about that.
But I agree with Nate Perkypile. Boy, do they have their work cut out for them, which is absolutely true. Nate Perkypile is also one of the people that worked on like Skyrim, Fallout 4. I think he left after Fallout 76, I want to say. But he's an indie dev now and makes his own stuff, which is pretty cool. And
Nate Perkypile was lied to and shafted by Bethesda because he was not allowed to be the what's it called? Head honcho? Let's just call it like that for Fallout 5. Fallout 5. And so he left because he got completely shafted.
Then this one, how could they shake up Bethesda's formula to subvert expectations and wrong foot players in a good way for Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6? And he says, I would probably look at two things. I would probably look at having the world be more dynamic. Bethesda games in the last decade have become less dynamic in order to meet the needs of what the games needed and audience expectations. But to be able to have the world be more fluid, I think that would be very cool. I also think to look at Baldur's Gate 3 and draw lessons from that smash.
I really don't think anyone has a concrete understanding what he means by the word dynamic from that short non-sentence. I mean, I have a vague idea what he means, but I'm pretty sure none of us actually know exactly what the guy means by more dynamic. Does he mean avenged? Does he mean less loading screens? What exactly does dynamic mean here?
Okay, probably. That part of what made it so popular is that it felt like all choices were meaningful because you made a choice and it made big difference in your play. Bethesda games have maybe pulled back from doing that a little bit. I'd say a lot of it. Even just in the purest form, there is a console command on PC. Tilde kill all. Okay. In games like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you can type that in and you will instantaneously fail every single quest. Every NPC in the game world will drop dead, whether they're in a vault or in the Lucky 38. And the game is like, okay. And it just fails the quests. You can keep playing, you can do whatever. But they allow the game to kill all the NPCs, and they have a state because they're like, if this NPC dies, this quest fails because it can't be completed now. So the quest is just over. But the game doesn't just like break. In Starfield, if you try to do that, you can even just like launch a bomb at an NPC. But if they're a quest giver, they just drop on all fours and then stand back up after a little bit and act like nothing happened.
Yeah, any named NPC in Starfield is pretty much unkillable. It was so horrific finding out that, by the way, that all the NPCs are just invulnerable. It's so stupid.
Because they took that.
And by the way, even minor NPCs that you don't even need to finish the main quest or anything like that, they were just invulnerable for no reason.
That level of dynamism out. Now, realistically, are most players killing every character or even a lot of quest-giving characters in a game like Fallout New Vegas? No, I don't think so. I think most players are going to go through, do the quests, and explore it that way. But the fact that the game has been built with the assumption that you can have that happen adds a level of depth and dynamism that modern BGS games just don't have.
Yes, people absolutely love this, in fact. This is the same misunderstanding that people did not understand when initially Starfield was released, and people were saying, well, you can't even walk around the planet, and some people's answers was, you wouldn't ever walk around the planet, so what's the point? The point is that we know we can. The point is to know that we are not encumbered in these four walls. The point is to know that we have freedom to make choices and do things. Not that the path is just laid out straight before us. That adds so much to the feeling of your freedom and how the game plays. It's insane. If you could walk around the world, almost 99.9% people would obviously never do it. But knowing that you can just makes the game so much more better because you're on an actual planet, not four walls.
And that, you know, trickles down to every other aspect of the game's design, where they've built it out such that you can make pretty wide sweeping decisions that are pretty catastrophic, but they let you do it. You know, the focus is on putting your toys away, but in these games, you do something in the Thieves Guild questline that completely changes what becomes of the Mages Guild, for example. The world and the game is changed because of your choices. Have it make real impact. Totally agree. This is one of the things people love about these types of games. Decisions have actual consequence. If I were in the position to be able to make these decisions, that's something that I would look to be doing, because I think the gaming community has spoken and said they want games like Baldur's Gate 3, where their actions feel like they have impact in a broader sense. Absolutely.
Yes, that adds so much replayability on top of that, obviously.
Do I think they will do that? I think there will be a couple of big items, but I think that realistically, based on what they've done in recent years, I think that Elder Scrolls 6 will end up playing much closer to this is going to sound like more bombastic than I mean it to. So hear me out. I think it'll play closer to Dragon Age Veilguard. Hear me out. Dragon Age Veilguard had a couple of really big moments where there was major consequence. There's the battle.
There wasn't.
Of, I think it's Weissenhaupt or something, where you choose to either go this way or that way. Depending on what you choose, this map completely changes, is devastated and torn apart. This one stays perfectly fine. Or you can go the other way. This one's totally destroyed, and then this one is totally fine.
Oh, yeah, that's a fake choice. No, he's talking about slop fake choices, obviously. Dragon Age the Veilguard had some choices, but these choices ultimately did not matter, because these choices didn't even make sense to begin with. You have a city that you know nothing about. You don't know anything about the people there, but you have the choice to save them versus another place that you also equally don't care about. So now you have to save one of them. And the fact is, it doesn't matter which one you save. The consequences don't exist. Luke thinks the consequences of saving a place is just it being destroyed or not. But you see, this is a fake consequence. Because a place just being blown up is not a consequence. That's a reaction to your action. A consequence is something that you feel throughout the game. And in Dragon Age the Veilguard, none of these consequences actually lasted throughout the game. There was no choice to be made that actually impacted you through the rest of the playthrough. They didn't exist. So these are fake consequences. This is what real gamers actually don't like. Fake consequences, fake dialogue options. That is a special dialogue option because you're an ambassador or whatever, and it doesn't actually change anything. If you had a unique dialogue and you press on it and it doesn't change fundamentally how this interaction goes or what how the quest works or the information you're given, then that's a fake choice. In the same way that the Dragon Age Veilguard stuff is also fake. Because it doesn't matter which place gets destroyed. There is no consequence other than it being destroyed, and that doesn't even affect you. There is no choice.
Fine. It's up to you to choose which way it goes. Similar to another game Bethesda made with Megaton. They allow you to destroy Megaton or to leave it be, but it's up to you.
Yes, but destroying Megaton is not just the act of destroying Megaton, okay? Destroying Megaton has consequences that actually matter in the future with different quests and things that you can do. And Dragon Age Veilguard, again, none of that exists. One place gets destroyed and the consequences of that are nothing. It doesn't impact you. There's nothing changes. Destroying Megaton has actual consequence for the rest of the game.
Still look back at Megaton as an example of like gameplay consequence, even though there wasn't a ton of on that level in Fallout 3 and certainly not Fallout 4 and subsequent ones, but I think that they'll have some big, very easy to market moments of consequence, just like Veilguard had, because Veilguard had a preview event where they showed us that and it made us all really excited that, oh, this is the level of consequence.
Bro's acting like anyone believes that
we're going to have in the story and in the game. And if you can keep this up for an entire game, that's going to be crazy cool. Turns out that was like the only like one of the only times there's real consequence was the little sliver they showed us, right? I think that it's likely that there's going to be a couple of very big moments like that in Elder Scrolls 6 where it's like, do you save the castle or do you let it fall? You can save the castle and the castle is fine. There's a quest giver in there that stays alive and you can do that, or you can let it fall and then it's overrun by some werewolves or something and all of a sudden the quest giver dies and that's just an empty building basically that you can't go into. That wouldn't surprise me at all, but I think that it's probably going to be something like that where it's not going to be throughout
honestly, even that much I think is way too much for Bethesda at this point. It is insane.
The entire game. I think it's going to be a couple of very big, easily marketed moments would be my guess. Yeah, where would you like to see them take the Fallout series next? He said, good question. I think the place that is dripping in character, so I would look at places like New Orleans, St. Louis, or Orlando. What happened to Disney World in the Fallout universe? That would be a ton of fun. I agree, these would be really cool. New Orleans, I think, would be baller. There's all sorts of cool mutated crap you could do in the swamps. That could be really cool. St. Louis could be interesting. Orlando, yeah. New York is the other one that would be really cool, but realistic.
I honestly completely don't care about the location that Fallout is set in. Like, what city it's set in that way. I completely don't think it matters. I don't even know where Fallout 4 was actually set in, or supposed to be set in. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. Because it doesn't matter.
They do New York. I think it's a little too big for them, just being real. Some of the most impressive places have already been done. Las Vegas, I mean, that's a place just dripping with flavor. Boston and DC, these places just exude that. So you need to find some place like that. I agree. I don't think you can do a Fallout game in the middle of Kansas and have it be really fun. I don't think that works. I think you got to have it in something very interesting place. This is interesting. How does the public perception of Todd Howard differ with the man you know? That's interesting because Todd's a man of myth and legend, you know. Some people make him a really big deal. Some people act as though he's like elevated to gaming sainthood. Some people talk about him constantly, and it frames every discussion that they have, you know, around these games. I've heard. So certainly it's worth discussing. What is the man actually like, you know, when he's not ascended into
Does anyone care, honestly?
Well, you'll have to tell me what you think of the public perception of him is what it is. I've known the man for a long time. For me to see the forest for the trees is a little difficult. I can tell you candidly that when working at Bethesda up through the Skyrim days, Todd is probably one of the best bosses I've ever had. I can tell you that he's keenly aware of the fact that he is a bottleneck and he works his ass off to not do that. Unfortunately, he doesn't succeed very well. This is something that we've heard time and time again.
Also, I wonder where the lies start, where the lies end and the truth starts here. Because this had been the prevalent theory of everyone saying this. Oh, Todd Howard is the bottleneck. Every decision must go through him. But recently, in the last year, we have had tons of interviews. Former developers speak out and they say that Todd Howard no longer is making all of these decisions, that he's kind of almost to the side. So I wonder which one is actually true. Because again, there's two ideas. One, Todd Howard is the bottleneck and everything must go through him. And the other one is Todd Howard does pretty much nothing any longer and he's just kind of there sitting and chilling and that's kind of it. I wonder which one is real at this point.
In these interviews that Bethesda employees have done after leaving the company is that Todd is a bottleneck, meaning all of these decisions kind of funnel up to him and he has to give the thumbs up, thumbs down because he knows what he's doing. And it is quantifiable. The less involved he has become, the worse the games end up, at least in terms of general popular consensus, is that the less involved he is, the worse they get. The more involved he is, the better they get. So he knows what he's doing, but the problem is there's only one Todd, and Todd is very busy. Todd does not only work at BGS anymore, Todd is also executive producer on like the Indiana Jones game. He's doing the Fallout TV show stuff. I can only imagine the other stuff Phil Spencer has him doing to like build out the Fallout remakes and spin-offs and stuff. The mobile games he works on. He's got a lot of pots on the stove for sure. And he's tried over the years to get less involved in the day-to-day, but as we've seen, it's just how the company is. And I mean, I go on the same time. You can still tell what it is, or if it's just a silhouette. Things like the Fallout.
I guess this doesn't have to do anything with Morrowind. Strange. I thought that this is going to be that. Well, there's one also about Morrowind. Oh my god, you cannot make this up. Anyway, that was Luke Steffens, 10 out of 10. Bye.